Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel called Sri Tips. In here I have some Alaskan Placer gold, about 10 grams. I paid $490 for it. And what I'm going to try to do is refine it using bleach and hydrochloric acid. And the advertised weight was 10.3 grams, and it looks like we're right on the money. This is a good, honest eBay seller. Before I get started, I wanted to show y'all that I'm working inside of a fume hood here. Those fumes are being vented through my ceiling and out through the room. Okay, I'm going to start the experiment by adding the 10.3 grams of placer gold to a 1 liter beaker, tall form. Next, I'm going to add some hydrochloric acid, about 200 ml. And put the cover on. Now I'm going to put the beaker with the hydrochloric acid, the gold in it, on the heat, and turn the heat up to low. It just says low on here. I don't know what the temperature is. Now I'll go ahead and measure out about 100 ml of just regular old household bleach, and we'll use this to start dissolving the gold. Alright, the placer gold has been on the heat and in the hydrochloric acid now for about 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and add just a little bit of bleach here. And that's going to make some chlorine gas. And it's the chlorine gas that will dissolve the gold. Alaskan Placer gold is not pure gold. It's from 90 to 95% pure. There will be some silver as well as platinum group metals in with that gold. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to do a stannous chloride test to see if I've got any gold in solution yet. It's been on there about 10 minutes and I've already got 1 shot of bleach in it. Just out of curiosity, let's see if we get gold going in solution yet. Nope, test is negative. No gold as of yet. Wanted to point out here that that test I did earlier didn't appear to have any gold in it, but when I came back out, it's been about an hour now, and it appears we've got a purple stain on my little piece of filter paper here with the stannous test. So the gold has already started to go in solution after only 10 minutes. Alright, the mixture's been on this heat here for about an hour now, and I'm going to go ahead and add another little shot of bleach. A few ml. Put the lid on. Give it a swirl to mix it up. Get another stannous test right quick here. See if we got some gold going in solution yet, visibly. And there we got a nice brown stain. That's a positive test for gold going into solution with just hydrochloric acid and bleach. Okay, I got about 25 ml of the bleach in there now. I'm going to go ahead and add another little shot here. About 5 or 10 ml. Give it a little swirl. And you can see I got a pretty decent reaction going on there. A little bubbling and fizzing on the bottom where the gold is. Got about half the bleach in now. It's only got 50 ml left here in this graduated cylinder. And the solution is looking nice and dark yellow. Go ahead and add another shot of bleach. Give it a swirl. Each time I add that bleach, I get a nice reaction like this with gas coming off the gold. solution keeps getting darker in color, indicating that there's more gold going in the solution. I'm going to go ahead and decant the gold bearing solution now into this clean beaker. Now I'm going to put fresh hydrochloric acid back on top of the gold. Another 200 ml hydrochloric acid. Now I'm going to add another 100 ml to the graduated cylinder and continue to dissolve the rest of the gold. 100 ml of bleach. And then we'll go ahead and add some of that new bleach to the new acid and continue the process. Go ahead now and do another stannous test on this solution that I've decanted. See what kind of concentration of gold we got here. That's a nice brown stain. I'm going to go ahead and add another shot of chlorine, or a shot of bleach here. See if I can speed the reaction along a little bit faster. About 15-20 ml. Here's a look at the three stannous chloride tests. The one furthest to the right there is the initial test at 10 minutes. The second one in the middle there is, I think that was about an hour. And then the last one there on the left, the dark one, is just taken after the solution had been on for about 2.5 hours. Okay, the experiment's about 3.5 hours into it here, and this is the second extraction. You can see that there's some fluffy white material on the bottom of the beaker there that I believe is silver chloride. Add a few more ml of bleach here. Give it a little swirl and stir it up. Okay, the experiment's been going on now for about 4.5 hours. We'll go ahead and shut the heat off, shut the experiment down, and continue it tomorrow. It's been 2 days since I shut the experiment down. I'm going to go ahead and restart it now. I've already got 100 ml of bleach measured out. I'm going to begin the experiment by decanting the second extraction of gold for the placer gold there and adding fresh reagents to the beaker. Now this is the first extraction. I'm going to go ahead and decant this second extraction in the tall beaker over here into the first extraction. And this is what the remaining bits of placer gold look like right now. I'm going to go ahead and put some fresh reagents on here and do a third extraction. Alright, I'm going to begin by adding another 200 ml of fresh hydrochloric acid to the remaining placer gold. Go ahead and add some heat now. I'm going to turn it up just past low to medium low. I've had the solution now with the hydrochloric acid on a medium low heat for about a half an hour, and I'm getting a few bubbles coming off of there, so the acid's nice and hot now. I'm going to go ahead and add some bleach. About 20 or 30 ml of bleach, or 15 or 20 ml of bleach. I've added the 100 ml of bleach to this third extraction. It's been on there about 3.5 hours. I've added another burner here and put the first two extractions on to go ahead and evaporate it away to get some of the liquid volume reduced, to reduce the amount of waste that I have to deal with. So right at 4 hours, I'm going to go ahead and decant this third extraction into this other beaker here and move forward with a fourth extraction. I'm only going to use 100 ml of hydrochloric this time. Now I'm going to measure out some bleach. Got about 100 ml there. For this fourth extraction, I've only put 100 ml of hydrochloric. I'm turning the heat down to low, and I'm going to go ahead and add a few ml of bleach now. Just to review where I'm at with the experiment right now, I've got 3 extractions of hydrochloric acid and bleach. Extracted the gold with the hydrochloric acid and bleach here, and I'm evaporating that down to reduce the volume of waste that it'll produce. Over here I have a 4th extraction, and I've only used 100 ml of hydrochloric acid, and I'm adding small doses of bleach with the heat on low. I've had about 6 hours on the experiment here. I've boiled some of the liquid off, and I'm starting to get some salt crystals forming in the gold solution. I've got this 4th extraction. I had to add more hydrochloric acid. I went up to 200 on hydrochloric acid, about 100 on bleach on this one, because the reaction stopped with just 100 ml of hydrochloric. I'm going to go ahead and add this 4th extraction to the other 3. I'm going to rinse the jug out here, get all the gold bearing solution off that I can. And then we're going to see what we got left of the pieces of placer gold there. I'm going to set the placer gold in the container back onto the heat here and go ahead and evaporate it down so we can get a dry measurement on the weight of that gold that's left over. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. I'm going to pull this gold bearing solution off the heat and set it over here so it can cool off. Wanted to point out here that most of that salt dissolved when I added the 4th extraction. And I'll do a quick stannous test on this. This is just a piece of filter paper cut up. I dip it into my solution that I want to test, and I get a little bit of stannous chloride and do the test. We got a nice brown stain there. I see some orange in there too, which means platinum group metals. Okay, I've dried the remaining bits of placer gold. Go ahead and weigh it out and see if we can, and then precipitate the extractions and do some math and see how much of a yield we got here. So we got 5.8 grams left over out of the 10.3. And this is what the last few flakes of gold looks like. There's some gray pieces in there. I don't quite know what that is. It might be some platinum group metals. We'll see. Okay, I've done 4 extractions using hydrochloric acid and bleach to dissolve the gold. I've got the remaining bits of Alaskan Placer gold left. And what I'll do with that is incord it with some silver and do a dilute nitric extraction and refine the rest of that, and we'll add the contents of that and what I get out of this to get a total yield. The solution has been allowed to settle overnight. It's cooled down to ambient temperature. It's about 65 degrees Fahrenheit here. What I'm going to do now is transfer the solution from the beaker to my Buckner funnel and do a vacuum filtration. I've already moistened a filter paper. It's a Wattman #1 to a Buckner funnel here. What I'm going to do is transfer the solution into the funnel. First I fill this clear plastic tube with water, and I cap one end with my thumb, put the other end into the solution I want to transfer. You just let go with my thumb. I want to avoid getting into any of the salt crystals into the solution if I can. I'll rinse those out later on with cold water and get the rest of the gold out of them salt crystals. Flush the tube out. Here's a look at the crystallized material that's down in the bottom of the beaker. I'll try to rinse that out with some cold water and add it to the main solution. And this is the filtrate. It's nice and clear. That should have our gold in it. We'll go ahead and precipitate that now. I'm going to rinse these crystals with cold water and get the rest of the gold solution into the main group. I've got all the crystals out of the beaker and into the funnel. I'm rinsing them off with some cold water so I don't dissolve them. I want to keep those crystals out of the gold solution as much as I can. Some of it's going to get in there, but you see the solution's fairly clear. Should be some pretty pure gold. Okay, the filter's pretty much rinsed clean of the color. All our filtrate is in a flask. We can go ahead and transfer it to the beaker now and go ahead and precipitate it. I'm going to go ahead and transfer the solution to this beaker. This is the same beaker we did the reaction in, or that held all the extractions. Don't have to worry about removing any nitrates because we didn't use any nitric acid to dissolve the gold. I'm going to go ahead and do one more stannous test before we precipitate the gold here. Making sure we got some gold in solution. And there's that nice brown stain indicating gold. Before I do the precipitation, I just want to point out a couple of things here. There's several different types of stump remover. Only one is sodium metabisulfite, and that's the stump out by Bonide. This is the stuff you want. This here, Spectracide, is potassium nitrate, and it will not precipitate the gold. You don't want this. That's no good. You want this. Stump out by Bonide. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the stump out, which is sodium metabisulfite, stump out by Bonide. Go ahead and add some of this to our solution and precipitate the pure gold powder. Let's watch what happens here. Go ahead and give it a stir here. And it's starting to turn brown now. The gold comes out of solution. Okay, I've got about 15 hours into the experiment so far. I've got the gold precipitated. I'm going to go ahead and let it settle for a couple hours, and then I'm going to come back. We'll get the gold into a filter, and then I'll melt it up into a button or a bead, and we'll get some weight on it. Thanks. Now this has been settling now for about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and do a stannous test and see what kind of metals we got in solution here. All the gold should be dropped. I don't see a whole lot of color there of anything. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add this waste. I'm just going to pour it off into my stock pot down here. The stock pot's full of copper, and I'll cement out any residual precious metals that's in that solution. I keep air bubbling in here. And I keep some copper fittings in there at all times. And what will happen is any residual precious metals will cement out onto the column, and then I can find the trace amounts of precious metals that I recovered here. So all the waste goes in this stock pot. Nothing is ever poured down the drain or on the ground. Now that I've decanted the waste off, I'm going to go ahead and get this gold into a filter paper here. Got the gold in the filter paper. I'm going to go ahead and add a little hydrochloric acid and rinse it off. Followed by a quick rinse with some distilled water. Go ahead and transfer the filter with the gold in it to a little melt dish here. And then add some borax. Borax will act as a glue. Help keep that paper cemented inside the dish so I don't lose any of the gold. Already got my torch lit. I'm putting on a face mask now so I won't be able to talk. I'm going to go ahead and do the melt. Add a little pinch of borax here. Good. There's our gold bead. Now let's get a weight on the gold bead and see where we come out. 3.6 grams, probably 995 purity. Probably about 17 hours total into the experiment here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informational and educational, and maybe you learned something. I review my comment sections daily, and if you have any questions about any of these processes or any of my other videos, I try to get on there and answer them best I can. So feel free to ask questions. My next project coming up next week, I have some catalytic converter beads here. And we're going to be trying to extract the platinum group metals out of the converter beads. It'll be the same process for catalytic converters and the beads. So watch for that. That'll be coming up in about a week and a half. Also, the gold bead that we produced today in this video, I'm going to be listing this on eBay, on my eBay channel. My username on eBay is Baffelous, B-A-F-E-L-O-U-S. We'll put it up for bids in a 10-day auction, so if you feel like bidding on the gold, feel free to do so. Thanks once again. I'd like to thank all my subscribers. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in and watching.